Hi everyone, I'm Miss Katie from Rockland Public Library and happy Black History Month. Today we're going to be reading Little Melba and Her Big Trombone. Let's see what happens in Little Melba and Her Big Trombone. This story is written by Katheryn Russell Brown and illustrated by Frank Morrison. And this is another non-fiction book. That means it's a true story. And Melba is a real woman. Here, a young girl. A real girl and woman who is a famous trombone player. Let's learn a little bit about her real life. Spread the word. Little Melba Doretta Liston was something special. The year she was born was 1926. The place was Kansas City, where you could reach out and feel the music. The avenues were lined with jazz clubs, street bands, and folks harmonizing on every corner. All the hot music makers made sure they got a gig in KC. That's Kansas City. From as far back as her memory would go, Melba loved the sound of music. Blues, jazz, and gospel rhymes danced in her heads. The plink, plink of the guitar, the hum of the bass, the thump, thump of the drum, the ping, pang of the piano, the treble of the sweet horn. Notes stirred and rhymes bubbled all through Melba's home. She couldn't get enough. Music was always on her mind. She daydreamed about beats and lyrics. Music was on Melba's mind at night, too, where she should have been fast asleep. Melba loved to hum along to the radio. Sometimes the music sounded so good, she cupped her ear against the majestic and closed her eyes. This radio is called a majestic, so she's leaning against the radio to hear that music. She especially loved Fats Waller with his growly voice and booming piano. The player piano came alive when Melba's kinfolk stopped by. While Melba pedaled, her aunties danced around the room. Here they are dancing to the music, and she's playing the player piano. So a player piano is a piano that can actually play itself. So you pump the pedals and it makes music. With all the music flying by, Melba wanted to create her own sound. When she was 7 years old, she decided to sign up for music class at school. What instrument will I play? Melba wondered. At the traveling music store, Melba eyed a long, funny-looking horn. That one, she cried. It's beautiful. A trombone, Mama Lucille frowned. It's big, and you're a little girl. Please, Melba begged. Mama Lucille bought that shiny trombone on the spot. She couldn't say no to her only child. Melba beamed from ear to ear and squeezed her new friend. Wow, look how big that trombone is compared to Melba. That night on the porch, Melba listened to Grandpa John play his guitar. Here he is over here. This time, she had her own music maker. Grandpa John showed Melba how to cradle the horn. She tried to push out the slide, but her arm was too short. She had to tilt her head sideways and screech out of her right arm. Melba gave the horn a mighty blow. The sound was bad, like a howling dog. I'm no good, Grandpa, Melba said, tearing up. If you can blow, you can play, Grandpa John said. Now stand up straight and blow steady. Melba stayed up late and practiced until she could play a simple tune all by herself. Here she is, practicing away. So you see on the trombone, here's where the sound comes out, and you blow here. This piece goes in and out to make different notes. I believe there's 7 different spots that you can stop at to make different notes. So she has to work by stretching out her arm to make all that music. Even with her keen ear, teaching herself to play the trombone was no piece of cake. But Melba kept blowing the horn, getting better day by day. The cool brass of the horn felt swell on her fingers. Before long, Melba and her horn were making magic. She was only 8 when the local radio station invited her to play a solo. Mama Lucille and Grandpa John were so proud as they watched little Melba play her trombone. Here she is in the radio station in the studio, recording into the microphone, and here's her family watching through the glass. Hard times hit rock bottom in 1937. That's when Melba and her mother moved to Los Angeles. The long train ride took them 5 states west and worlds away from Kansas City. Melba's new teacher discovered she was smart as a whip. Her test scores were so high that the principal skipped her from 6th grade to 8th grade. In high school, Melba joined Alma Hightower's famous after-school music club. Melba quickly became the star player of the club's band, the Melodic Dots. I like that name. The Melodic Dots. Can you say the word melodic? It's a really good word. Melodic. The Melodic Dots. The other club members struggled to keep up with Melba. Jealous boys called her bad names. She tried not to care, but way down deep the names hurt. Melba used her horn to turn all those hurt feelings into soulful music. Melba's talent kept growing. She began writing music too. Then in 1943, when she was 17, Melba was invited to tour the country with a band led by the trumpet player Gerald Wilson. "Go meet the world," Mama Lucille said, and hugged Melba goodbye. "You have my blessing." Melba could feel it in her bones. The jazz scene was calling her name. Look at her. She's so cool. Traveling with the band was a thrill. Each city from Salt Lake to New York was an eye full of something new. Melba became a master musician. She composed and arranged music, spinning rhymes, harmonies, and melodies into gorgeous songs. And when Melba played the trombone, her bold notes and one-of-a-kind sound mesmerized the crowd. Still, Melba was lonely. She was the only woman in the band. Some of the men were cruel. Others acted as if she wasn't there. Melba let the music in her head keep her company. Rough times came when Melba traveled down south with singer Billie Holiday and her band. Some white folks didn't show great manners towards folks with brown skin. Hotel rooms were hard to come by, and the band members often had to sleep on the bus. Restaurants didn't always want their business. In the clubs, audiences sometimes just sat and stared at the band or didn't show up at all. Discouraged, Melba almost walked away from her trombone for good. You can see here on the sign for the hotel, it says, "The best service for whites only." So she was seeing so much prejudice when she traveled and having a hard time finding places to stay and places to eat. But Melba's fans wouldn't let her quit. In 1950, all the cool jazz musicians wanted some Melba music. Dizzy Gillespie, Duke Ellington, Quincy Jones, and more. They wanted to be on the bandstand with Melba and her divine horn. They wanted to play Melba's music. Oh, look at her. Melba and her music trotted around the globe, dazzling audiences and making headlines in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. All her life, Melba kept composing and arranging music, kept making her trombone sing. Spread the word. Melba Doretta Liston was something special. The end. Great listening, everyone. Now, the author has added an afterword with more information about Melba Liston. Now, I'm going to just read a little bit, but I highly recommend you checking out this book later to get her full story of her career. So, Melba Doretta Liston lived from 1926 to 1999. She was a multi-talented jazz virtuoso. A true pioneer, she was one of the first women of any race to become a world-class trombone player and composer and arranger. A self-taught child prodigy, Liston began playing trombone at age 7. Her musical gifts were so extraordinary that one of her teachers in Los Angeles asked Liston's mother for permission to adopt the young musician. The teacher wanted to work with Liston and send her to the finest music teachers available. Liston's mother did not let her daughter go. In high school, Liston joined the Alma Hightower's after-school music club. Hightower, an African-American music educator, taught her students Black history through music, dance, and poetry. At age 16, Liston left Hightower's group to become a professional musician. Now, there's lots here about her career. I'm just going to read the last paragraph to you. Liston received many honors for her jazz musicianship. In 1987, the National Endowment for the Arts named Liston a jazz master, the highest honor the United States gives to a jazz artist. The first International Women's Brass Conference in 1993 honored Liston as a brass woman pioneer. In 1995, Liston was interviewed by the Smithsonian for a jazz oral history program. Melba Liston's collaborations are legendary. She played with the best, among them Dexter Gordon, Gerald Wilson, Dizzy Gillespie, Billie Holiday, and Quincy Jones. She composed and arranged music for Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Randy Weston, Tony Bennett, Eddie Fisher, Billy Eckstine, The Supremes, Dinah Washington, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, Bob Marley, Marvin Gaye, and more. Today, Melba Liston's sounds are heard across the Black music diaspora, including jazz, rhythm, blues, and reggae. So I highly recommend that you go online and look up some of her music. She's a wonderful musician and changed this world for the better. Happy Black History Month, everyone. I hope you get a chance to check out this book for yourself and learn a little bit more about little Melba. And also maybe check out some more of the artists that were mentioned in the story, like Dizzy Gillespie and Billie Holiday. I hope you all have the most wonderful week, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.